All right, guys, let's see what we can do with this test 13 review. The first five are just giving those exact values from the unit circle. So here we go. Number one says sine 4 pi over 3. Remember, you can drop the top. Just let's do sine pi over 3. Everywhere you see sine pi over 3, it's square root of 3 over 2. And because 4/3 pi is in quadrant 3, it's going to be negative square root of 3 over 2. Number two, cosine 11 pi over 6. First of all, forget the 11. Cosine pi over 6 is also square root of 3 over 2. And 11 pi over 6 is in quadrant 4. Cosine's positive in quadrant 4. We are done. Okay, cosecant negative pi over 6. I don't know cosecant, so I'm going to change that to sine negative 11 pi over 6. And remember now, if you see a negative, you can put the negative in the front if it's sine and just drop it inside. So I'm thinking sine pi over 6, which is a half. 11 pi over 6 is quadrant 4, which would be negative a half, but yeah, it'd be negative a half. So if I do reciprocal of that, that's going to be negative 2. All right, number 4, tangent 2 pi over 3. Remember, pi over 3, there's just 1 3, so I'm going to put a square root of 3 right there. 2 pi over 3 puts it in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2, the signs for sine and cosine are different, so it's going to be negative. Cosine of negative pi, remember we talked about this week. If it's negative with cosine, you could just drop it and do cosine pi. Cosine of pi is negative 1. So those are pretty quick if you know your unit circle. Number 6, find the cosine tangent determined by that point. First of all, make sure that point's on the unit circle. If you square 40 over 41, you get 1600 over 1681. If you square 9 over 41, you get 81 over 1681. If you add those up, you do get 1, which means the sine t is just the y coordinate. The cosine of t is just the x coordinate. And tangent of t is just y over x. And if you put y over x, you get 9 over 41 over 40 over 41. The 41s would cancel. You just get 9 over 40. Number 7, which quadrant would the terminal point be if sine is negative and cosine is positive? That means it would look like this: cosine positive, sine negative, which means you would go right down, which puts you in quadrant 4. All right, 10 says find the amplitude and period of the function and sketch the graph. The amplitude of this one, remember, amplitude is just the number in the front. It's 10. The period is always 2 pi divided by what's in front of your x. 2 pi divided by b. 2 pi divided by 1/2 is going to be 4 pi. And it says sketch the graph. We can just graph one period of that. So I'm going to go here, go my 4 ticks. But suppose my period is 4 pi. I'm going to go to 4 pi. That's 2 pi. Make sure you label your x's tomorrow. Let's say 10 is about right there. Negative 10 is about down here. Make sure you label that also. And sine, remember sine starts at 0. It goes up, down, up. And you know, technically it keeps going. So there's number 8. Number 9, 4. It says, I can't move that. Here we go. It says y equals 4 cosine 2x. So the amplitude would be 4. The period is 2 pi divided by b, which is 2, which is just pi. So I'm ready to graph now. My graph here, I'm going to draw one period. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to pi, because that's the period. That means that's pi over 2. We'll say this is in 2, so that's 4. That's negative 4. This is cosine. Remember, cosine starts at 1, or in this case 4, and it goes down, up, just like that. Obviously, it does keep going, but there's one period. 10 continues. 10. Y equals should say cosine x. I'm not sure why it says cosine x minus 1. So this time the amplitude is just 1. Nothing in the front. The period is 2 pi. I don't know why I just wrote pi. 2 pi, because there's nothing in front of the x, not even an s, which is supposed to be there. So let's start to graph that one. Usually I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. I go 2 pi there, 1 pi there, 1, negative 1. I'll draw my cosine like there's a point here, there's a point there, there's here, here, and here. But the minus 1 means the whole graph has been shifted down 1, which means the point right here, I'm going to change colors so you can see what I'm doing. The point that's at 1 is coming to 0. The point that's at 0 is coming to negative 1. That's coming to negative 2. Everything's getting shifted down 1. So my graph gets shifted down 1. Now it looks like that for cosine. And 11. That one's got all kinds of stuff in it. Let's see. It's got a negative in the front. Amplitude is still 1, by the way. Amplitude is actually absolute value of the number in the front. The period would be 2 pi divided by 4 pi, which is just 1/2. And don't forget it's been shifted down 1. Okay, so when I draw this graph, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The period is 1/2, so I'm going to 1/2. If you go halfway to 1/2, it's 1/4. Amplitude is 1, but I already know it's a -1 out there, so I'm going to go down another one again. Now, because it's sine, normally I would start here and I would go up, down, up, but because it's shifted down 1, again, taking every one of those points and shifting it down 1 from where it sits at the moment, and it's going up, down, up. So there's my sine graph on number 11. All right, that's awesome. Number 12. Number 12, it says solve the triangle. It's review from last week. It's either law of sines, law of cosines. Just looking at that, I'm going to have to use law of cosines. No choice there. So what I need to find for this triangle to be finished, I need to find little b, big C, and big A. That's what I'm looking for. So to find little b first, I'm going b squared is a squared plus c squared, get those backwards, minus 2 AC or CA times cosine 38 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch that in my calculator and take the square root, figure out what I got. And I'm going to punch all that in. I'm getting about 80. I'm getting 85. Let's just go near this whole number. 85. I already got 84.97. Now to find big C. It doesn't matter which angle you find next, but let's go big C. So I'm going to go cosine of angle C is C squared minus A squared minus B squared, which we just found was 85, over -2 times B times C. And I'm going to punch that in. I want to punch this one in. Remember, I'm going to punch all that in. All the big parentheses on the top, big parentheses around the bottom. Once I get my answer, I'm going to go second inverse cosine to get my angle. So I'm going to do inverse cosine after I punch all the numbers in. All right, when I do that, I'm getting about 89 degrees for C. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that up here, 89 degrees. And if that's 89 degrees, I can do 180 minus the 89 minus the 38 to get my angle A, which is leaving 53 degrees. So there's the whole triangle right there. Law of cosines. Let's keep going. So there's anything else in this way? I don't know what just happened right there. Yeah, turn the page. 13. 13 is an inverse. It's asking you where is sine square root of 3 over 2. Remember, if it's an inverse and it's sine, you have to use quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. If it's cosine, which it could be tomorrow, inverse cosine, you use quadrant 1 and 2. So where is cosine positive square root of 3 over 2? At pi over 3. Right? That relates back to the first 5 problems on this test. Number 14. A building casts a shadow of 250 feet long. To find the height of the building if the angle of relation of the sun is 33.2. Okay, here's the build. Here's the building right here. Building's built straight up. The shadow of the building, the sun will be over here, by the way. Okay, there's the sun. For some reason, I always draw those little lines off the sun. The shadow of the building will be on the ground. Again, the shadow is on the ground. The angle of elevation, that's the height of the building. The angle of elevation, remember, it must touch the horizontal, so it's going to be 33.2 degrees. And there's my right triangle. Look what I've got. I've got opposite over adjacent. That sounds like tangent. So I'm going to do tangent of 33.2 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. By the way, I was messing with my calculator a minute ago and realized this test, we've used radians some on the calculator lately. You need to make sure your calculator is in degrees, just saying. So I'm going to punch that in, 250. If I can do it, 250 times tangent 39.2, 33.2, easy for me to say. Struggling here for a second. Still not punching in correctly. I should have hit pause. There we go. I'm getting 163.6 feet. Perfect. Number 15. Find the inverse. Done this 100 times. You should be great at inverses by now. Switch your x and y. So I'm putting the x here, putting the y over here, and you got to get the y by itself. So first step I'm doing is I'm moving the 2 over, which gives me y plus 1 cubed. Got to get rid of the cube, so I'm going to take cube root of both sides. If I take the cube root over here, I'm doing this, which gives me y plus 1. So to finish up, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, so I get the cube root of x plus 2 minus 1. And of course, we always like to take out that y. and replace it with the inverse of f function, just like that. Right. And the last one, number 16. Oh, by the way, one hint. Hint, hint. Hope you're listening. Hope you're listening. If this had been a square right there in the last problem on 15, let me circle. If that had been a square, and I'd end up doing square root over here, don't forget you would have to do plus or minus in front of that root. Don't have to do plus or minus with the cube root because it's odd. Even root, you need that plus or minus. Number 16, solve inequality. Good thing about this inequality is it's just one fraction, okay? So all we have to do is go ahead and draw our sign graph down here. Whatever makes the numerator 0 goes on it. Whatever makes the denominator goes on it. So I get -1 and 4. Remember way back in the day, we plugged 100 in everywhere for the x just to see what would happen. And if I do that, that gives me 101 on the top and 96 on the bottom, which is positive, by the way. And that's all I care about. That's positive. Remember the signs alternate. Minus plus. This says in less than 0. So where is the fraction less than 0? Between the -1 and the 4. Just like that. And that's all you got, guys. Hope that helps. Hope it makes sense. Use this video. Hope you do great. Make 100. Y'all are doing awesome anyway. I've had a great semester. Hope you keep it going. See you tomorrow.